Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome into the Saturday morning edition of the Daily Juice podcast. My name is Matt Perrault here on BettingPros.com. You can follow me on Twitter at SportsTalkMatt. Thanks to BetMGM, we are always here, and they've got that giveaway going on right now, the contest for you guys to come to Vegas when you sign up using that new account, Juice100, when you sign up for that new account and opt in to promotions. And then for every $25 bet you make from BetMGM, you get to qualify for that trip here to Vegas, which is very, very cool. Okay, so coming up here today, I'm going to avoid basketball. Now, I'm probably going to get involved with Drake basketball today in the semifinals for the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament. Their game was canceled against Northern Iowa. Don't need to get into it, but it was a messy, messy mess at Arch Madness about protocols and St. Louis protocols versus Valley protocols, and just another COVID thing that for the NCAA tournament, it's definitely going to be a very different year due to COVID-19 as expected, but the laws and who's exposed to what and whatever, really tough. So bummer for Northern Iowa. But the Drake Bulldogs having a chance to rest an extra day now without Tank Hemphill playing. According to Darren DeVries, he's not going to play this weekend, which is kind of a bummer, but they're trying to get him ready for the tournament, so the NCAA tournament. So we'll see how Drake looks. So I'll have a personal play on Drake, probably something on Loyola, and some other games in college basketball. If I love something, I'll add it in the Discord channel. But today, I've got 2 units in play for UFC 259, a bunch of different bets I'm going to tell you about here, and I got a couple of hockey plays. Even though I went 0-1-1 in hockey yesterday, I'm going to come back here and bet hockey again for a unit with 2 half-a-unit plays on totals. I don't know why. I'm liking totals more than I'm liking sides. It's just that part of the year, I think, where I'm seeing totals more clearly than I am seeing the sides. But, puck lines last night, we got that wrong with Colorado. Didn't get to the puck line. And then we got the under as a push with the Bruins, and I got another 6. I like that number. 6 is a good number to bet either over or under. The likelihood of a push at 6 is really, really high. So I got that coming up today as well, bet I've made for the NHL. So let's start in the UFC, okay? And I'm going to kind of roll through this here because there's a bunch of bets I'm going to make here and a bunch of different plays that I'm going to make. I'm going to start with a parlay. I always tend to do one of these. I always tend to parlay 2 fights together, but I'm going to go with a quarter unit here because this is a plus 225 parlay that I got, 2-fight parlay. And let's start with Dominic Cruz, who is back in action here. He's the headliner of the prelims, okay? He's fighting Casey Kenny. This is a bantamweight bout. Dominic Cruz is coming off of a loss to Henry Cejudo, a loss to Cody Garbrandt, okay? Cruz is 22-3. He has not been very active, but this is one of the most cerebral, smart fighters in the UFC, okay? He's the former champ at 135 pounds. He's not competed for a while, since last May, but this is a guy who I think still has something left in the tank. He's such an awkward fighter. Casey Kenny is an interesting matchup for Dominic Cruz, but something smells here a little bit about this matchup. Kenny is 16-2-1, and I just feel like he's the younger fighter, and I think the UFC would like it if Kenny wins this, but I think this also might be a chance for Dominic Cruz to say, I'm not done just yet. 3-round fight. I don't think this is going to go to the ground. I think this is probably going to be a stand-up fight here, but the average fight for Dominic Cruz is 17 minutes, okay? He's used to going 5 rounds. I think in a 3-round fight, I'm interested to see what Dominic Cruz looks like. I mean, a smaller octagon, I'm also interested. I don't know if Casey Kenny has fought the level of competition that Dominic Cruz has fought, and I just think this is a guy who, when he gets in the octagon, he knows what he's doing. He's just so experienced. He's so smart that I can't bet against him, but I also don't want to go heavy on him either. So I'm going to parlay him with everyone's favorite play in the prelims. Okay, this is a pros versus Joes fight, and this is why it's only a quarter unit, because I don't love this bet because of how much public money is coming in here. I talked to Nick Kalakis, who is from Circus Sports, one of their head bookmakers on my radio show, and he talked about this fight with me. He talked about this fight with Covers.com's Patrick Everson. It is an interesting fight because everyone loves Sean Brady, Philadelphia kid, okay? He's fighting Jake Matthews. It's a pros versus Joes. Brady is 13-0. He has some incredible submissions, all right? This dude is extremely strong. He is extremely tough. Jake Matthews is coming in here as a pretty sizable underdog. He's 17-4, and I know it's not going to be the most unique of bets. A lot of people, Brady's got the look, he's got the talent, and he's strong as hell. This dude, when he gets his hands on you, yikes. It is not easy to stop this dude. He is a guy who wants to take you down. You don't take him down, okay? You just don't. He's never been taken down. His takedown defense is 100%, okay? He's never been taken down. His takedown accuracy, about 57%. He's going to try to take you down about 3.5 times per three-round fight. He can strike. He leads over Matthews, 5.4 strikes landed to 3.1 strikes landed. I guess you will see potentially Matthews take this to the ground, but I mean, Brady is a public favorite for a reason. Everyone's watching this kid. I don't know. Pros versus Joes, look, the public wins sometimes, but in case the public is wrong and this parlay gets blown up, this is a quarter unit. I get plus 225 on this for a quarter unit. We're parlaying Brady to win and Dominic Cruz to win in the prelims, all right? Brady is minus 200. Cruz is plus 115. Parlay it together, you get plus 225. Two-leg parlay for this. I always have one parlay in the UFC. This is really the only time I really like parlaying, but this is a plus money fight. It gives us 2 fights to watch on the prelims. Brady to win, just win, and then Cruz just to win. Chances of his fight going the distance, probably pretty good. But I think Dominic Cruz wins his fight. There's some questions here, but just because of it, and both fighters have, there's public money on Cruz, public money on Brady, pro money on both sides. You want to ride with the pros, don't hate it. Bet Matthews and bet against Dominic Cruz, and take Casey Kinney, and go with a couple of Irish guys, Irish parlay against it, but Cruz and the big boy Sean Brady on the prelims together, and to parlay that at plus 225. So what do I do with the other quarter unit? Okay, it ties in with the main event. I'll explain more about the other quarter unit in a couple of seconds with the other main event. So I got 2 plays on the main event that I'll get into. So the other quarter unit, that's where it's going to go with the main event. But let's start talking about Peter Yan against Aljamain Sterling. Look, this fight may be a coin flip, okay? Aljamain Sterling, his striking is highly underrated, okay? His grappling is incredible. Peter Yan's got to win this fight. I think he's got to win this fight within 2.5, 3 rounds. And maybe you say, Matt, take the under here. But I'm concerned if Aljamain Sterling can get this to the ground and Peter Yan can scramble and keep himself off the ground, or if he does scramble, can he get out of it? Yan's got 88% takedown defense in his fights. He's tough to take down. He's a guy who wants to stand and strike. He is 6.32 strikes per minute to 4.82 for Aljamain Sterling. I just think there is a different level of intensity here with Peter Yan, and I think his striking is going to be the difference here. Aljamain Sterling's a great fighter. I think this is going to be an absolute banger. This is going to be an awesome, awesome fight. This might be the fight of the night, okay? I'm just going to roll here with Peter Yan at minus 120. It's a short price. A lot of people like Aljamain Sterling here. If it gets Yan on the ground to shock everybody and to win the belt and take the belt away, it's just I think these guys are close. And if it goes 5 rounds, which is possible, okay, but Aljamain Sterling's fights have only lasted, on average, 11 minutes and 54 seconds. Yan on the other side, 13 minutes and 14 seconds. The Sandhagen win was really impressive, but that win over Aldo, win over Faber, just really impressive, the guys. Both of them are somewhat washed up, okay, so Aljamain Sterling is definitely on the come up, on the rise here, so that's why people are saying, Sterling is the hotter of the fighters because of who's Yan defeated. He's beaten a bunch of old guys in this division, but I'm going to take Yan to win this fight here, just to win at minus 120. Peter Yan over Aljamain Sterling. I know there's a lot of pros on the other side of this. This is kind of a coin flip type of fight. I'm just taking the better striker here in the smaller octagon. I think this is a time for Yan to catch Aljamain Sterling. I'm not sure he's been hit. I'm not sure Sterling's been hit as hard as Peter Yan hits. So we're going with Peter Yan, or Petri Yan, depending on how you want to say his first name, to retain the belt here. to beat Aljamain Sterling in this very fun bantamweight title belt. All right, to the second title fight, Amanda Nunes against Megan Anderson. Look, Amanda Nunes is the GOAT, all right? She's a monster favorite. And this is a trap that when I talk to Circus Sports, on the East Coast, the line for Amanda Nunes has been about 1,100, minus 1,100, minus 1,200. The folks here in Vegas, they want pro money, and they want pros to bet on Amanda Nunes. They want you to they want you to come in here and say, okay, can we get some pro money because everyone's going to be on Megan Anderson. She's taller, way taller, 6 feet tall, way taller. Nunes is an absolute beast. Featherweight title, one of her 2 fights. Two titles. She's the best fighter in women's MMA history. The average length of her fight time, though, is 9 minutes and 38 seconds. The average fight time for Megan Anderson is 5 minutes and 23 seconds. That's barely over 1 round, okay? She crushes people. She hits them hard, and they fall down. What's interesting about this fight to me is the total. It's 1.5 in a title fight. So I know Amanda Nunes is going to come out and press here, okay? But given the reach advantage, which is 3 inches for Anderson, I wonder if she's going to be able to keep the line off of her enough. I wonder if she's able to strike and keep her at distance and kind of have a feeling out round in the first round to not get into a straight firefight till later in the fight. And Amanda Nunes, there's been some questions about Amanda Nunes about, okay, she has a family now. Is she distracted? Is this Holly Holmes against Ronda Rousey? Part 2. Okay, are we in for a major upset here? I just need this fight to go 7 minutes and 31 seconds. Okay, I need to get over 1.5 rounds. Half a unit, we're betting over 1.5 rounds in this title fight. I think it could get over quickly. Okay, Nunes is that good, but I just wonder if Megan Anderson can just do enough to keep herself upright and away from an attacker, an absolute dominant striker, an absolute incredible mixed martial artist who, when she takes you down, it's going to be really, really tough to defend, to stop. I mean, takedown defense for Megan Anderson is not good. 53% takedown defense. You know, she has been on a great 2-fight win streak, but I don't think this is going to be, you know, everyone has a puncher's chance, right? So maybe Megan Anderson can shock the world, but the height difference and the size difference to me tells me this fight's not going to get over that fast, that Nunes may take a little time to try to figure out the puzzle, and maybe we get ourselves into the second or the third round where finally Amanda Nunes is going to end it. It's a 5-round fight, and when you have a fight in the women's division at 1.5 rounds, sure, it could end super fast, and this could be super quick, and we could lose this bet really fast. I just think this fight's going to go a little bit longer than they expect, simply because, 1, it's a title fight, and 2, the reach advantage for Anderson to keep Nunes off of her, to at least be on her bike, to at least be able to move enough, and to slip the big punches, and to try to fight the takedowns, and be prepared, staying at distance, to not allow Nunes to take her down. Maybe later in the fight that happens, but that's how I think this fight's going to go. So we're going over 1.5 rounds. That the juice on that is minus 112 on the juice of that. Over 1.5 rounds in the women's main event or co-main event for the featherweight championship of the world. And then finally, for the light heavyweight championship of the world, Jan Blachowicz up against Israel Adesanya. This is an awesome fight. Okay, this is a really, really great fight, and I get why people like the dog here. Okay, Blachowicz with the power. Polish power in the hands, right? He's a dominant striker. He is 27-8. Average fight time for him is 11 minutes and 51 seconds. For Israel Adesanya, who's never fought at light heavyweight, 15 minutes and 7 seconds. 6'4" for Adesanya. Height advantage. 2-inch reach advantage, okay? Maybe the best mixed martial artist on the planet is Israel Adesanya. Love the dude. Been on my radio show multiple times. Brilliant fighter. Very, very difficult to figure out. He's a sniper. He's going to stay at distance and pick apart the bigger man. This is why I don't get why people like the under in this fight. Do we think that Israel Adesanya, who came in at 200.5 pounds, who's going to be facing off a guy who came in at 205, who very well might be weighing 220 pounds on fight night tonight? He's going to rehydrate and have 15, 20 pounds on him. Do we think Izzy wants to go to the mat with this guy? No way. Do you think he wants to go ahead and roll around with him? No. Adesanya is tough to take down in the middleweight division at 185, 86% takedown defense. He doesn't take people down. He wants to stand on the feet. He wants to use his range. He wants to use his kickboxing. He's been hurt before. He's been knocked out before. So I think he knows that when he goes up against a big guy like Blachowicz. So why would you get yourself in trouble? Why would you get yourself into an early firefight with this type of dude if Blachowicz doesn't win the fight in the first round? Okay, that's my fear here in my bet on this title fight. My fear is it ends in the first round. If it gets out of the first round, however, the over is going to hit. All right, it's 2.5 rounds. That's the total in a title fight. Minus 140 is what I paid for 2.5 rounds on the over for Adesanya and Blachowicz. This is a fight I think it's going to be decided in the later rounds. I don't think Adesanya has the power to just knock out a light heavyweight in the first round. He knocks people out by just accumulating damage, like the Whitaker fight, right? Just accumulates damage, more and more damage. He's quick, he's faster than you, and he's going to be on his bike the entire early part of this fight. I think he's going to move. I think he's going to try to wear out Blachowicz just with his movement. He's a light heavyweight, so make him use that weight. Make him carry around that weight in the octagon. It's a smaller octagon now, okay? So that's not great. You can get caught, and Adesanya will stand and bang. He will exchange, okay? Strikes landed per minute, 4.1 to 3.4. Striking accuracy, 50% to 48%, okay? Defense, 65% for Adesanya, 54% for Blachowicz. I just think Israel is going to move around enough to stay away from the power early. And then what are we doing with the other quarter unit? I think in rounds 3, 4, and 5, this is when Izzy goes to work. This is when he starts to tune up Blachowicz, and this is when he wins the fight. I bet this fight to go inside the distance for Israel Adesanya at plus 145 at a quarter unit. All right, I think Adesanya is winning this fight, and I think he's winning it with a stoppage in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th rounds. I think he's going to tune up this Blachowicz fighter from Poland late. Not early, but late. Wear him out. Use his weight against him. Use his quickness, his ability to absorb and move and stop takedowns and not go to the ground. I would expect Blachowicz to try to take Izzy down and ground and pound him into submission. That's what I think is going to happen. That's their game plan. Get your hands on him, get him to the ground, beat the hell out of him, okay? If Izzy can avoid that and keep his distance, and that's why in round 1 I think he's going to be moving, I think he's going to be on his bike, that's where I think the fight winds up going over 2.5 rounds, and Izzy to win the fight inside the distance before it goes to the cards. It could be all the way into the later part of the 5th round, okay? But I think the better mixed martial artist wins this fight, and I think it gets stopped Israel Adesanya inside the distance for a quarter unit at plus 145, okay? So our plays in the UFC, 2 units going here in this fight. Israel Adesanya and Jan Blachowicz over 2.5 rounds, minus 140. Nunes and Anderson over 1.5 rounds at minus 112. Jan to win against Aljamain Sterling at minus 120. All 3 of those bets at a half unit. Cruz and Brady parlay at plus 225 at a quarter unit, and Israel Adesanya to win inside the distance at plus 145 for a quarter unit for the plays for the UFC. 2 units in the UFC. Now, to hockey. Let's talk hockey. 1-1 yesterday in hockey, so hopefully we're going to do a little bit better here than what we did there. But Vegas Golden Knights are back at it here tonight against the San Jose Sharks. I am expecting, and by this bet, I am expecting to see Marc-Andre Fleury in net. Okay? Night off. Oscar Dansk was in net last night. And, well, he looked okay early, and then he was all right. Nothing all that spectacular. Backup goaltender for the Vegas Golden Knights. And so it was because you had to give Flower the night off. He was probably exhausted. I think it was 9 straight games or 10 straight games that he had played. So it was a 5-4 win for Vegas in overtime. But he faded. Dansk faded in that game, okay? And a lot of you guys on the Discord channel had the Knights on the puck line. I had Colorado on the puck line. Both Vegas and Colorado both won. They both won in overtime, but not covering the puck line. I think 9 goals got scored last night. 9. The total is 6.5 goals for tonight. Minus 115, we're going under, okay? They just played. I think you can see some tired legs, and I think Flower coming back. I think he plays really well. I think the Knights have really done a good job of just scoring a ton of goals against San Jose. So you may want to come back with the Knights on the puck line. That may not be a bad idea here. I'm just going to go under 6.5 goals for Vegas and San Jose to turn right around. I think the potential for like a 3-2 game is pretty likely here, and maybe even a win for San Jose. We'll see. It's hard on that. You take the zigzag theory here, so we'll see what ends up happening with Flower and net most likely, but hopefully this bet is being made with Marc-Andre Fleury in mind. That he'll stand on his head and play really well. Half a unit, we're going under 6.5 goals at minus 115. And for the other half a unit, because we don't leave half unit hanging, as the t-shirt says, let's talk about Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. All right, total is 6. 6 goals here for these two. 4-3 was the last game these two teams played. 7 goals being scored. So we're back at it again here. This is where I am with this one with 6 goals, okay? I think we're looking at a high-scoring game again. Another game with a lot of goals. Another game without having much defense being played. It's an early game today. It's a 1 o'clock Eastern time start. The Flyers are 6-1-1 to the 4-0 to the over with the last 4 times playing a team with a winning record. Penguins on 1 day's rest. Last 4 times they've done that, the over has come in here. I think both teams are just going to score goals. The Flyers, the over is 8-3-1 on the last 12 games on the road for the Philadelphia Flyers, and 9-4-1 for the last 14 games with a day off in between games. And the same thing for Pittsburgh here when it comes to their ability to. The over is 9-4 in the last 13 games of the Penguins. 6 is a number that I like to play either over or under. We got a push last night. It's just really likely that we're going to get a push. And so I'm betting it because even if I'm wrong, I think we get a 4-2 game. We're hoping for a 4-3 game or a 5-2 game here to go over with Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. 6 goals, over minus 105 for a half a unit between Pittsburgh and Philadelphia for a 1 o'clock start time. So hopefully goals. Lots of them coming up here for Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. This game's at Pittsburgh. All right, the 2 plays in hockey. We're going under 6.5, Vegas, San Jose. We're going over 6 goals, Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, both for a half a unit. I'm feeling totals more than I'm feeling sides, but it's weird. Like during the week, we've been red hot. Like we're 15-6-1 over the last 5 days, right? But last weekend, I was ice cold. So I'm like, again, I'm concerned about this Saturday. Like, man, we were really good going into Saturday last week, and then we fell on our face. So I'm hoping to avoid that here on Saturday. We got 3 units in play, so I don't want to give it all back here and wind up down for the week. But, a little scary. We got the golf bet going. We got Bryson DeChambeau, who's doing fairly well here, still lurking in the top 10. And Ricky Fowler we'll forget about Ricky. But hopefully we see a good round here on Saturday for round 3 for Bryson DeChambeau. So those are the plays for the UFC. Those are the plays in hockey. 3 units in play coming up here today. I may add college basketball depending on how things are going throughout the day. Drake playing. We may jump on Drake. We'll see in the Valley tournament. But officially for right now, no basketball in play. But I may add the Discord channel, bettingpros.com/chat, to get into the Discord channel. My name is Matt Perrault. Every single morning, it's the Daily Juice Podcast. Talk to you in the Discord every morning, including tomorrow morning on a Sunday. Back for the Daily Juice brought to you by BetMGM right here on bettingpros.com.